blame. They're both in all the nonsense. Speaking of the stimulus nonsense, it was the stimulus nonsense, options expiry, and last night's earnings that were the big stories on the street today. January call and put options, that's what I'm referring to when I say expiry. January call and put options, which give you the ability to buy or sell a stock at a certain pre-established price, they expired today. Lots of traders like to pretend that they can game option expiry and its impact on individual stocks and even on the major indices. I've never bought into that strategy. I think it's a waste of time and energy. Meanwhile, IBM and GE were a couple of big name companies who bounced off their recent multi-year lows after telling the street that things aren't horrible. The problem, though, is that the magnitude of the buy the news bounce today is about 1/10 of the magnitude of the sell the rumor collapse that these stocks have undergone over the last couple of months. GE rallied 3% today, which means it's still down nearly 30% from its recent highs. Sprint, on the other hand, guys, shows you what happens when a company admits that things actually are horrible. And that stock was down like 25% today. In other words, this is not a great risk-reward on the long side in the near-term trading when the market's reacting like this, even though I am finally starting to become a little more bullish about the longer-term perspective. I mean, we're down 15%. It is now time to reach into the digital mailbag and get to some of your questions from you guys at home. First one, Terry in Texas says, I was watching yesterday and one of the guests said that all of the investment banks might not have as much money as they said. What about angel investors? Are they still looking for investments? Since I run a small web-based business and want to introduce new technology to my industry, is it still worth the effort to look for angel investors? Absolutely it is. I mean, this is still, again, guys, we are still in an economic boom. Things have turned down. The markets are starting to fade. This is the time and place to get really aggressive in trying to raise that money because, I mean, you want to get when the getting's good, and this is still part of the good times. And another thing, guys, I will always say is that the best time to start a business is right now. And I'll say that next week. I'll say that next month. I'll say that in 3 years. It's always time to start a new business if you want to. Also from Texas, David writes, the current economic conditions are the result of excess liquidity. How can anyone believe that we can now repair the economic damage by adding still more liquidity? In other words, fix the poison by adding more poison? I am with you, man. Let's see. In the last 2 months, the geniuses running our government have tried a super fund that never happened, repeated rate cuts, more than $500 billion of your dollars in intraday liquidity injections, and all kinds of other blustering to, quote, fix our markets, which aren't broken, guys. Meanwhile, the markets have fallen 15 to 20%. In other words, the other fixes, they didn't. Today's proposed waste won't either. It turns out that natural market forces are what drives the market. I don't know, it makes sense to me. How about you guys? Don't forget, you can email me, Cody@foxbusiness.com. Bring it on, man. I'll answer anything. Go@foxbusiness.com. I think she answers almost anything. We're also on Facebook, CodyWillard.com.
Not the marriage proposals.
Not the marriage proposals, which you do get a few of those. On tap, guys, we've got Olympic silver medalist Tanith Belbin here to tell us about the world of ice dancing, not to be confused with figure skating. All right, that's next on Happy Hour.
Everybody.